Every December, right around Christmas, millions of seniors do the same thing. They check their bank account, they check their mail, they check the calendar. And this year, more than a few people are asking the same quiet question. Is Social Security giving us something extra in January? Because prices didn't stop for the holidays, groceries didn't pause, heating bills didn't wait, prescriptions didn't get cheaper just because it's Christmas week. So when people started hearing talk about Social Security's Christmas gift and $250 added in January, it caught attention fast. But let me slow this down right now, because clarity matters more than hype. This is not a random giveaway. This is not a surprise stimulus check showing up out of nowhere. And it's not every single person getting a separate $250 check in the mail. What this is, and why it matters, is how January Social Security payments are changing for many people at a time when every dollar counts. If you're retired, if you're on SSDI, if you receive SSI or help support someone who does, this is something you need to understand clearly, without panic, without rumors, and without misinformation. And before we go any further, if you rely on Social Security or follow these updates closely, make sure you're subscribed here. This channel exists to explain what the official letters don't always spell out clearly, especially during confusing months like January. Now here's where the confusion starts. People hear $250 added and immediately think, okay, when does the check come? Is this a bonus? Is this a stimulus? But Social Security doesn't work like that. The truth is, January is a reset month for Social Security payments. It's when adjustments finally show up together after months of inflation, Medicare changes, and policy updates. For some people, when all of that settles, the net difference between what they were living on in December and what they receive in January can be close to $250 more per month. Not for everyone, not the same way for everyone. But for a meaningful number of seniors and disabled Americans, the change is real, and that's why this conversation matters. Think about someone receiving around $1,500 to $1,700 a month in retirement benefits. During the year, increases get announced, but they don't always feel like increases because costs rise at the same time. January is the first month where those adjustments hit in full, before mid-year deductions, before temporary offsets, before things get spread out. So for some households, January feels different. It feels slightly easier to breathe. Now, if you're thinking, well, I didn't see anything extra last January, or my neighbor always gets more than I do, you're not wrong to question it, because Social Security is not one size fits all. Two people can work the same number of years and still receive very different outcomes because of Medicare premium deductions, supplemental security income rules, state-level add-ons, past overpayment recovery, filing age differences. That's why one person might see a noticeable increase while another sees only a small change or none at all. And that's also why scammers love to use words like Christmas bonus or guaranteed $250 check. Those words create panic and false hope. We're not doing that here. What we are doing is explaining how legitimate Social Security adjustments work, why January matters, and how to tell whether this change applies to you. Because if you don't understand where your money is coming from, you can't protect it. Right now, SSA systems are updating millions of records, payment amounts are recalculated, deductions are finalized, benefit letters are refreshed. That process doesn't always look clean from the outside. Some people see changes before January deposits arrive. Some people don't see anything until the payment actually hits their account. And some people panic when nothing looks different, only to realize later that the net amount changed, not the gross number. That's why the phrase $250 added is both meaningful and misleading if it's not explained properly. For many seniors, the increase doesn't show up as a separate line item. It shows up as less taken out, more staying in, or a higher final deposit. And in today's economy, that difference matters, especially during winter, especially during the holidays, especially when fixed income doesn't stretch the way it used to. So in this update, we're going to break down where this January increase actually comes from, who is most likely to feel it, who might not see it at all, and why and what you should do if your payment doesn't look right. No scare tactics, no guessing, just clear explanations in plain language, because Social Security is complicated on paper, but it shouldn't be confusing in real life. And as we move forward, I want you thinking about one simple question. Did my net income change going into January? Not what someone on Facebook said, not what a headline promised, what your numbers actually show. In just a moment, we're going to walk through how Social Security payments are structured in January, why this month is different from December, and why some people feel a bigger shift than others, even with the same program. And as we do that, keep this in mind. January isn't about surprise money, it's about how the system resets and whether that reset works in your favour this year. Now, let's slow down and talk about where this January increase actually comes from, because this is the part Social Security almost never explains in plain language. Most people think Social Security works like a paycheck. You earn a raise, you see it immediately. But that's not how this system works. Social Security works in layers. And January is the one month when multiple layers settle at the same time. That's why January feels different. First, let's talk about the base benefit. Every retiree, every disabled worker, every survivor benefit starts with a base monthly amount. That amount is calculated from your work history, your filing age, and your earnings record. That base amount doesn't change month to month. What does change is what gets added on top of it and what gets taken out. And January is when those adjustments finally lock in. One of the biggest factors is the annual cost of living adjustment, or COLA. You hear about COLA months in advance. It gets announced in the fall. News headlines talk about it. But most people don't actually feel it until January. That's because January is the first full payment where COLA is fully applied. Let's use a simple example. Say someone receives about $1,600 a month from Social Security retirement. A COLA increase raises that amount on paper, but during the year, rising Medicare costs, deductions, and timing issues can cancel out how it feels. In January, that new adjusted amount becomes the new normal. Now, here's where many people get confused. They look at their gross benefit, the top number, and say, I only got a small increase. Where's the rest? That's because the real story is in the net amount, what actually lands in your bank account. This is where Medicare Part B comes in. For most Social Security recipients, Medicare premiums are automatically deducted from their monthly benefit. Those premiums can change year to year. Sometimes they go up, sometimes they stabilize, sometimes they don't increase as much as people feared. When Medicare deductions are finalized at the same time, COLA increases are applied. The result can be a noticeable net gain. For some people, that difference, what they were actually living on in December versus what they receive in January, can approach $250 more per month. Not because Social Security sent a gift, but because less money is being taken out while the adjusted benefit is fully applied. Now let's talk about SSI, because this is a completely different system and one of the most misunderstood. Supplemental security income does not work like retirement benefits. SSI is needs-based. It has strict income and asset limits, and its payment schedule is different. SSI payments often arrive earlier, sometimes even before the month officially begins. That timing causes confusion every January. Some SSI recipients see a payment arrive late December that covers January, and they think they got extra money. Others see nothing in early January and think something went wrong. In reality, it's a scheduling issue, not a missing benefit. When SSI adjustments happen alongside Social Security COLA changes, the timing can make it look like a bonus when it's really just a shift. That's why January causes so many phone calls to SSA. Now let's talk about SSDI, disability benefits. SSDI follows the social security system more closely than SSI does. Many disabled workers see their COLA applied the same way retirees do, but SSDI recipients are more likely to have dependent benefits. Family maximum limits, past overpayment recoveries. Those factors affect how much of the increase actually shows up. For example, if SSA is recovering an old overpayment, even a small one, that deduction continues in January. So someone may technically receive a higher benefit, but still not see the full difference yet. That doesn't mean the increase didn't happen. It means part of it is being redirected. Now here's another piece most people don't realize. January payments are clean. What do I mean by that? There are no mid-year recalculations, no partial month adjustments, no temporary holds. January sets the baseline for the year. That's why financial planners, benefit counsellors, and SSA itself treat January as the reference point. When people say, my benefit went up by about $250, what they're often comparing is December's take-home amount versus January's take-home amount, not the gross number. And that distinction matters. Now let's talk about payment timing, because this adds another layer of confusion. Social Security payments go out based on your birth date or program type. Some people are paid early in the month, some mid-month, some later. SSI is different. SSDI and retirement follow another schedule. So when people talk online about already seeing changes, they're not lying. They're just on a different schedule. This is why you should never compare your payment to someone else's unless you're on the same program, with the same deductions, in the same state. And speaking of states, this is important. Some states provide supplemental payments on top of federal benefits. Not all states, not the same amounts, and not the same rules. In states with stronger supplements, the January adjustment can feel larger. In states without supplements, the change might be smaller or only reflect the federal adjustment. This is one of the biggest reasons people say, my cousin in another state got more than I did. They're probably right. And none of this has anything to do with favoritism or politics. It's how the system is designed. Now, before we move on, let's clear up something critical. There is no official SSA program called a Christmas bonus or holiday check. If you receive a call, message, or email claiming that, ignore it. SSA does not announce benefits through social media messages or text links. Any legitimate change shows up in your benefit letter, your My Social Security account, or your actual deposit. Nothing else. The real question is not, did Social Security give out a gift? The real question is, did my January benefit settle higher than my December income? That's what matters. And now that you understand how these adjustments stack, COLA, Medicare, program type, and timing, we need to talk about who benefits the most from this reset, who only sees part of it, and why some people may not feel it at all. Because that's where expectations either get confirmed or corrected. And if your payment doesn't look right, knowing why is the difference between waiting calmly and panicking unnecessarily. Now, once people understand how January payments are calculated, the next question always becomes personal. Okay, but what about me? And that's a fair question, because while the system resets in January for everyone, not everyone feels that reset the same way. Some people see a noticeable difference, some see only a small change, and some feel like nothing changed at all. So let's talk honestly about who is most likely to see close to that $250 difference, who sees only part of it, and why that happens. First, retirees who have been on Social Security for several years tend to notice January changes more clearly. That's because their benefits are already stable. Their deductions are predictable. And when COLA and Medicare adjustments settle, the net effect is easier to see. For example, A retiree receiving around $1,900 per month, with Medicare premiums already deducted, may see their January deposit increase by a couple $100 compared to December. Not because their benefits suddenly jumped overnight, but because the year's adjustments finally stopped shifting. That kind of household often says, "It's not life-changing money, but it helps." And for many seniors, that's exactly what it is. Help, not a windfall. Now, let's talk about people who receive both Social Security and SSI, because this group causes the most confusion. When someone receives SSI as a supplement to Social Security, changes in one program can affect the other. An increase in Social Security can sometimes reduce SSI. That doesn't mean money was taken away unfairly. It means SSI is designed to fill a gap. So some people see a higher Social Security payment, a slightly lower SSI amount. When those two changes settle, the net increase may still be positive, but smaller than expected. That's why some people feel disappointed when they were expecting a full $250. The system isn't broken, it's doing exactly what it was designed to do, even if that design feels frustrating. Now let's talk about SSDI recipients. Disabled workers often have additional factors affecting their payments: dependent benefits, family maximums, prior overpayment recovery. If SSA is recovering even a small overpayment, $30, $40, $50 per month, that deduction continues in January. So while the benefit amount technically increases, part of that increase may never reach the bank account yet. That doesn't mean it's gone forever. Once recovery ends, future COLA increases will feel larger. Now here's a group that often feels left out: people who say, "I didn't see anything at all." There are several reasons that can happen. One reason is Medicare premium increases. If Medicare premiums rose at the same time your benefit increased, the two changes can cancel each other out. On paper, your benefit went up. In reality, your take-home stayed about the same. That feels discouraging, but it's not a mistake. Another reason is income-related adjustments. If you have additional income, pensions, part-time work, or withdrawals, your Medicare premiums can be higher. That affects how much of your Social Security increase you actually keep. Another big factor is state-level differences. Some states provide supplemental payments to seniors and disabled residents. Others do not. In states with supplements, January changes can feel bigger. In states without them, changes may feel modest or invisible. That's why you'll hear people online saying wildly different things about the same month. They're not lying. They're just in different situations. Now let's address delays, because this causes a lot of unnecessary stress. January is one of the busiest months for SSA systems. Millions of records update at once. That means some benefit letters update late. Some online accounts lag behind deposits. Some changes don't appear until after the payment arrives. Seeing no change online does not always mean no change occurred. The deposit itself is the final answer. If the deposit matches your prior amount exactly, then it's reasonable to ask questions. But if the deposit increased, even slightly, that confirms the adjustment happened. And here's an important rule of thumb. If your January payment is wrong, SSA usually corrects it automatically within 1 or 2 cycles. That's why benefit counselors often advise waiting until at least the second payment before filing a complaint, unless money is missing entirely. Now, about scams, this matters more during the holidays than any other time. There are already messages circulating claiming holiday SSA bonus, guaranteed $250 Christmas check. Sign up now to claim your increase. None of that is real. SSA does not ask you to claim COLA increases. SSA does not send payment links. SSA does not require holiday enrollment. If someone asks for personal information related to this, it is a scam. The only legitimate sources are your official SSA notice, your My Social Security account, your bank deposit. Now, here's where this conversation becomes practical. Instead of asking, did everyone get $250? The better question is, what changed in my January net income compared to December? That tells you whether the reset worked in your favor. And now that you understand who benefits most, who benefits partially, and why some don't feel it yet, the next step is knowing what to do with this increase, how to protect it, and what warning signs to watch for. Because January is not just a payment month, it's the foundation month for the entire year. And what you do or ignore now can affect the next 12 months more than people realize. So now that everything has settled, here's the most important thing to remember. January is not about a headline, it's about stability. If your January Social Security deposit is higher than December's, even by a modest amount, that tells you the system reset in your favor this year. For some people, that difference is close to $250. For others, it's smaller, and for a few, it may not show up yet. But what matters is understanding why, not panicking over rumors. This is the month to pay attention. If you received an increase, use it wisely. Cover essentials first, utilities, food, prescriptions. Avoid spending it all until you see that the amount stays consistent for another month or two. If your payment didn't change, check your net deposit, not just the gross number. Look for Medicare deductions, recovery amounts, or state differences. And if something truly looks wrong, missing money, incorrect deductions, don't ignore it. SSA corrections often happen automatically, but serious errors should be addressed. Most importantly, don't fall for holiday scams. There is no separate Christmas check to claim. No sign-up required, no link to click. This increase, where it applies, is built into the system. Social Security doesn't always explain itself well. That's why confusion spreads so fast. But when you understand how January works, the fear disappears and confidence takes its place. Before you go, I'd like to hear from you. Comment your city and state and tell us, did your January payment change, or are you still waiting to see it? Your comments help others who are in the same situation. And if you found this explanation helpful, stay connected here. This channel exists to break down Social Security changes clearly, calmly, and honestly, especially during confusing times like this. Because when you live on a fixed income, clarity is not optional, it's essential.